Hello everybody and welcome to this episode of the CCC Digital Brief with Mark O'Loughlin and the Cloud Credential Council. Now in this series of the CCC Digital Brief, I'm asking global digital experts to comment on the impact that COVID-19 is having on organizations and how digital technologies and services can help. Now on today's CCC Digital Brief, we're joined by Sherry Jacob. Sherry is a senior manager in the energy sector for Accenture and is based in Houston, Texas. Sherry, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Mark, for inviting and being a part of this.
Great, good to see you again. Now, Sherry, to start with, so you're in the energy sector for Accenture. What are you doing in it? Are you consulting, training, involved in operations?
So I do lead a team who's looking into the who actually helps customers as well as internal to Accenture on security related projects, as well as now most important thing which is coming is into the business continuity end as well. So that's where I primarily try to focus anything into the application security, the cloud security, and anything to do with infrastructure security and physical security as of today.
Fantastic, quite a lot of scope in there. Now, can I ask, within that scope, within your industry, how has COVID-19 affected your industry and your customers?
Perfect. So I'm actually located in the south part of United States. It's more south in Texas. So Texas is primarily the kind of industries that we have over here is the oil and gas primarily. We do have a big sector of the health sector. We do have a little automobile like the Toyotas and all that out here, and the finance sector. So these are the couple of primary sectors that we have. The way how COVID has actually impacted them, it's been huge. If I'm taking it from a sector by sector, energy has always been preparing for any human rights. Sorry, for any human episodes or incidents. So they're really forward when it comes into this. It's always looking for employee first. So they were prepared to have to get their people offshore and get it work. But the other sectors like health sector, the finance sector, the manufacturing and retail sector, they were not ready for it. I can give examples about is like where the telemedicine was always there on code and papers, but the last 2 months they had to get that out. And even from our customers and the people who actually had to go to the hospitals were asked to, hey, you got to be on a phone and try to get part of it. So from a revenue perspective, there has been some impacts. There's been some shutdowns, things of that kind. But technologically, it is getting evolved, and there is an opportunity of this. I think it's going to be the new normal.
Oh, the new norm, whatever that is. I think we're slowly discovering what that is. I'm not sure there's a going back. Has the current situation, I guess, impacted your views on digital transformation? You're doing a lot in cloud security, blockchain, all these digital areas over the last number of years. But has the COVID-19 situation changed your view or expanded or really cemented that what we're doing in digital was the right thing because it's what's going to keep us going?
So I think the companies who have actually put the step forward has actually been the winners right now. With the people who are actually, what I've actually seen as companies and clients who have not taken the digital edge and understood how that is, they've actually realized, and they are actually, now we're having a lot of discussion with clients where they're actually coming forward and asking, well, how should we do it and how fast can we do it? So security is only one of the components. It's like developing your future in the security. But right now, I'm even with discussion with clients where they're coming forward and saying like, hey, how do I even go there?
That's interesting, because I guess over the last couple of years, at least in the early days of cloud and early digital adoptions, organizations probably were, let's do this. Not asking the how do we do it, let's do it. And then probably with COVID has proven to a point, you didn't quite do it right. So is now a kind of a checkpoint to say if you didn't quite get it right, now is the time to ask the question of, or an organization like yourselves, how do we do this to get us going in the future? Is that where
Absolutely.
we're at?
Absolutely. I can give you another view about this is like always digital transformation was thought as how to go in front of customers and sell or deliver a product with a better experience and a better way to do it. But this
Yes,
COVID has actually opened up a new thing about asking is how does your employees even get impacted? How does your support vendors, like you have managed services which is being given to company, your application development which is being given,
yes,
it's your supporting vendors who are actually going to be given. It's actually opened up a third eye or a third view about this one. Is like it's not only your customers, it's also your buyers, right? The where you go and buy. How do you also bring them in the ecosystem as part of your digital transformation? So that's where this COVID has actually opened it up.
that's very interesting because so many organizations wouldn't go there. They would say we've outsourced, or it's our supplier's responsibility. It's incumbent on them to do whatever they want to do with digital. But I think COVID has shown us, especially no matter what business you're in, the supply chain end to end isn't, it's everybody or nobody. It works or it doesn't work. It can't half work.
Absolutely. You had to hit the nail on the head because I was my last 2 months discussion with many of my clients has not only been on security, it's actually brought that third angle of the business continuity. Because
Mm,
previously they thought, oh, we have everything that we want. As long as our systems are up and running, it's in the cloud, what's the problem? Now they've come and realized like, hey, doesn't mean like I have to look at from my end user all the way to my supplier. Even if I go to the cloud, I have to look into that component and make sure my business continuity is there. It could be an internal, it could be a vendor, it could be my supplier, it could be my support team, it could even be my HR system.
yes.
It could be anybody that could actually come in. So that's something which has actually caught a lot of momentum in the last 2 months, and people have so as companies have actually looked into it, I'm actually talking to them about a big time about this and seeing how we can actually help them out on that.
That's, it's almost your digital awareness of your end-to-end supply chain.
Yeah,
I think that's an amazing insight that for those organizations that are not looking at that, start looking at it now. Because the one thing COVID has shown us is we've global supply chains, but just because you've outsourced, you've given responsibility somewhere else, doesn't mean it actually happens. You have to have
exactly.
the whole thing. That's significant. I like that. I think it kind of lends into what we've been seeing, been talking about it on this series about the difference between digital acquisition and digital transformation. And what we've been presenting is digital acquisition as acquiring a digital tool or service, but not actually changing how you do business. So you're
Hmm.
just like with people using Teams and Zoom for remote working. Out of necessity, that's okay, but all you have is really a tool. It's only when you apply these digital services and tools to change how you do business, maybe through the supply chain or whatever that is, are you actually doing digital transformation. I think organizations are stuck in that during COVID, saying, we've embarked on a digital transformation over 5 weeks, and what they have is they've acquired lots of digital tools, but they're not doing anything different business wise. Are you seeing a lot of that in your line of work?
So interestingly, I'm seeing something different here. So
Okay, good.
because when you look into when I'm looking in this into the oil into the energy sector, and when I look at this into the finance sector, they've actually they do have a lot of tools ahead of time, right? They it was not the tools which they were looking into.
Mhm.
They were more looking into the workforce.
Right.
How are they using these tools, and how can we more operationalize? I can give you an example. Is uh,
Sure.
we were actually talking to a customer where the customer was trying to give a kind of work to one of their suppliers to actually do an application development. Previously, they would have an 80 and like 40% would be people sitting on site who are actually doing the work with the
Yes.
development work and all the work happening somewhere offshore. this, with the tools and all coming in today, and with the scenario we have with COVID, they said we just need 5% on site and 95 can go offshore. Because the reason what they gave is we have the tools in place. Even if I don't want a guy to actually fly in and actually come to Houston and actually do the work, because there's no flights, so you can actually do that from some part of America.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can do it from some part of America, you can do the same thing from an offshore. So why do I need to pay that? So it's a game changer as of today, and that's where I was trying to come into, is like tools is get rationalization is happening, but it's more as part of the digital transformation. How are the future way of how supporting, maintaining, and managing is being the big
Yes.
$1 million ticket here.
Yeah, I've seen that as a topic one to watch for organizations. There is a human element of it, and then the employment migration element of it. Where will the, I guess, employment migration end up? Because we can now work remotely. Can
Yeah.
you get staff from elsewhere? We could probably spend an hour on that one. We'll come back to it another time. But I think organizations listening in and employees listening in should have a think about that. And again, come back on the value, because if you can demonstrate value in what you do, there's less chance of you being outsourced to a lower cost country, because your work now is based on value as opposed to outputs. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Can I ask, Sherry? That's one of the biggest changes coming in the industry, I think, in the next maybe 6, 12, 18 months, maybe 2 years. Can you see, can you look forward and maybe predict or see where you might see some of the big opportunities coming in the next 6 to 12 months for people to think about?
So the way how the migration is actually, so migration and optimization is going to into the cloud is going to be one of the key areas that's going to happen. That's going to have some big time money
Yeah.
into it. Second one is data analytics, because based on the data that they have, how they can operationalize, manage, and be more
Yeah.
efficient is going to be another key component. The third component that I can actually think about is optimization, because
Hmm.
the market is going to take some time to
Yes.
come back and to cover up this 2 year, 2 months of gap, and then bringing back the supply chain. There's going to be a lot of optimization. And the last but not the least, this is the right time for many organizations to actually start doing a transformation, because the prices are low. There's a lot of abundant of resources available in the market, and
Yes. Yes.
everybody is right now like, hey, who comes first? I'm going to give them at the right price to get it done. So
Yeah. Yeah.
these are a couple of new things which I think in the next 6 to 12 months is going to happen.
I think that's good. As you said, start your transformation. Now, you may have thought you've done transformation in the past. Revisit it, look to the complete end to end. Where can we, of the supply chain, not
Yeah.
just your organization, but the supply chain. As you said, prices are suppressed for the moment. There's a lot going on. We've heard this phrase on this series: why waste a crisis, or do not waste a crisis. Again, the important thing is stay safe, keep family safe, and all of that. That's that's very interesting insight, Sherry. I have to think there are some really good takeaways there. But I have one final question. It's the most important question of them all, Sherry.
Yep.
So when this is all over, when we're finally out of this, whatever that is, I guess when a vaccine appears, but when it's done, what are you going to look forward to most of all when it's all over? What's that one thing?
I think what I think is it's going to be more data. It's going to be more digital and more data. There's going to
Mm,
be a lot of data going to be produced after 12 months. So
yes,
if today you have if you have 500 GB of data, I'm telling you, it's next year at the same time when we're going to talk, it's going to be at least 1.5
yes,
terabyte
yes,
of data, because people are going to go into cloud into a big thing, and it's going to be a game changer. And I was actually trying to talk to my counterparts back in the Middle East. I was trying to talk to some of my friends back in India, trying to
yes,
see how has this whole thing is actually impacted, because they look forward to the US to see how it is now. The Middle East as well as back in India, they know that digital is the future, but they were skeptical, like it's working, why should I
yes,
break the thing?
yes.
So with more countries actually going to pick it up, there's going to be a lot of data, and that's where I think more decision making and more precise kind of activities, more than assumption, is going to be data driven. So anybody who's on the wheel right now, who understands how the data is generated, who can actually look into the analytics part of that, and who can actually be part of that future state, is going to
Yes.
be. And whoever is on this wagon right now, at least, is going to be safe for the next 10 to 15 years.
Fantastic. So we end there on some good tips, especially for the employability going forward. If you're not in data and you're not sure where you're going to be over the next couple of years, probably get into data. And there's
I was
lots of
actually
ways and means to get
yeah, I was
there.
actually talking to one of my cousins, and I told him this is the right time for you to stop, even if you this is the right time for you to take your data training.
Mm,
Let it
great.
be IoT training, let it be cloud training, let it be data analytics, anything that you want to do it now, because
Fantastic.
companies are going to pick it up. And because what we are seeing right now is like companies, because I live with security as my background, but
Mhm.
what I've actually seen is companies are right now just moving directly to the cloud without even thinking about the security components. That's going to come in 2 years. So now laying your foundation, add that security layer, add that additional layer. Like security is one of the layers. You can go to the big data, big lake, the big data concept. That could be another layer. You can make the analytics, which is another layer. You take anything and you specialize on top of it. In the next 2 years, that's where the world is going to be.
That's the one. Fantastic. I think some great insights there, Sherry. Really good. So, I think we'll finish on that. I don't think we can better that. It's important for me to say again, stay safe. I'm sure you're looking after yourself.
Absolutely.
After all this is over, we promise to meet up everybody, probably virtually, but if we can physically get there, we will. Don't know when that will be. But again, Sherry Jacob, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the CCC Digital Brief. Thank you, Sherry.
Thanks a lot, sir.